Let's jump right into it. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Jardín podcast. This is actually not the official title of it. We just kind of have guests come in, and I like to talk to them.
I like it.
And how I like to do these interviews and start them off is I like for my guests to introduce themselves because I feel like that's a better way than trying to hype you up. I want you to hype yourself up. So I would like you to introduce yourself to the podcast.
I guess I can say it's Charles Flanagan. I don't have any cool moniker or anything like that.
Okay.
I'm not a cannabis anything, but it's just Charles Flanagan. I have Professor X on my IG. My daughter had me put that.
Okay,
so,
I like that.
It's Charles Flanagan.
And what is Charles Flanagan? Who is he? What does he do? What is it?
In the scene, I guess you know Charles Flanagan as the celebrity personal trainer, right?
Okay.
The man of mystery. But it really is. It's getting people fit and utilizing cannabis as the medium.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing there was fit before cannabis, or was cannabis always a part of the fit?
Yeah, no. So I was way fit before cannabis. In fact, cannabis is what gave me my my freedom back. I got really, really heavily addicted into alcohol and benzos.
Okay.
Many moons ago, I was into executive level car business. I was in car business, CEO, a lot of leadership.
Right.
But I acquired a lot of bad habits, and cannabis was my gateway back to being able to be, train again and all that.
Have some freedom and be off the. Are you no longer drinking or doing the benzos?
No, it's been thank God, man, 8 years sobriety. So
wow.
And cannabis has helped me for all that. Thank you. Right.
Good energy for that. Yeah. I was really upset when you took your shirt off right before the interview. Like, I was like, okay, you got the hoodie on. I'm looking, and then right before the interview, you took your shirt off, and I'm like.
So full disclosure, you like kind of called me out. You're like, yeah. So when I normally see you, and now I'm seeing you. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, when I saw you earlier, I was like, he's not that big.
Yeah, right.
But,
so I had to
here we go.
I'm incognito, but I had to peel off, do Hulk style, get ready for the podcast. I'm with Bonics. I don't have the name you do, so I had to show up with my presence.
I mean, you don't need the name.
Yeah, stop. I appreciate it.
Come on.
Stop.
Girls are trying to swipe right on the screen right now. For you.
Never that, man. It's always just regular, bro. It's always.
I mean, I got to give it up to fit people in general because that's work. You know what I mean? It's so much easier to sit on the couch and watch TV and do that. Have you always been fit though? And what was the trigger for that, or is it something that you caught on early, or you were around that type of thing? You played sports, or how did that go?
I was that hardhead, knucklehead kid that you couldn't keep quiet, or you couldn't. Like, he was always into things. So the only outlet that I had was sports. Always. It was whether it be track, football, baseball, any kind of pickup games I can find.
And where did you start the journey?
I grew up. I was born in California, but I was raised in the Pacific Northwest, Seattle to be exact.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Dope.
Yeah, around the Microsoft boom and all that, and it was a great place to be at that time. A lot of hoopers came out of Washington at that time. Jay Crawford. It was such an era, man.
So when does one become fit for fun and sport to making it a career? How does that and well, let's start there because then I have the next tier question coming.
Yeah. So the reality of it is that I was doing this and I wasn't making any money. I was just that guy who was training a lot. And then, a good friend of mine was like, why don't you do this for a living?
Right.
You can totally do this for a living. I have a couple of friends.
Was this in like the 2000s or 2010s or when was this?
2000s.
Okay.
2000s. I'm out of college. I had got into a really bad car accident, which costed me my scholarship.
Wow.
That's why I wasn't able to run anymore, and didn't have any, plans. Didn't have any fallbacks, but I can always work out. And so one of my buddies was like a mentor, took me under his helm, and it's off the races after that.
And so then, how do you get into the celebrity world as far as like training celebrities? Where does that cross over? Because it's kind of similar to DJing though, right? There's hey, I'm DJing locally, and then there's a crossover where now you're people from outside of your realm are wanting your business or see the talent, and so where does that cross over?
Well, the health is wealth, and everybody right now, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, everybody wants to look good, period. So where I come into play is I'm that guy, and I've always. So let me back up a little bit. the segue it didn't graduate or eventuate like that. Like I was modeling first, and modeling helped me because from modeling, I knew everybody. I had kind of like you, I had a celebrity bag. I was the first male on America's Next Top Model. Oh. And so like from there,
you were on the show?
Yeah. Sick. Yeah. Before they even had men, had anything on there, they decided, hey, look, we need to have something else. This was serious Cycle 16, and things were kind of like coming to a halt. Right. And so then they
spiced it up with you. Right. And so what was that like? I don't watch the show often. My sister loves that show. Like, did you get far, or I don't know?
Nah, man. So the way they did it, it was still primarily for the women. It was all for the women. And I was there as a guest, but it was just to shake up everything, right? So after that, we didn't have IG. There was only Facebook. MySpace was still kind of rampant. But, like, that was when you had to know the people in order to get a following. So I got 5,000 followers. I had my 3 minutes of fame. I couldn't sustain it. Right. And that's where a lot of the training happened, because my boy was like, what are you going to do? How are you going to do anything with this? So from there on, it was just connecting me to different people that were in the scene that were like, hey, you know him? Like, and we were kind of met up that way. Right.
I like to say that, like, life works in loops, right?
Yeah.
Meaning with that pattern, and it maybe wasn't a pattern then, but just having that little bit of success, I think, makes all the other stuff that comes after that make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So, a lot of times when I deal with people, whether it's a business or just fucking with them or not, I look at their history of, it seems obvious, but sometimes like, yo, this person has a lot of success, even if it's not like measurable, but like, no, I see this person and and then there's also the opposite, like someone that has like a lot of drama. And so I think that's how I look back on my life. And that's how I look forward into my life, was like, look, I've done all this, which means I can do all this.
Man.
And some people don't even get that first this. And I think it's super important for people to look at their life and be like, yo, you had success like that before in something, that means you could have it again. So it looks like from, the America's Top Model thing, it just kind of exploded from there. Or like, were you in demand? People saw you there? Did you have like crazy women stalker fans and all that?
No, nothing like that. It's, IG or social media hadn't blown up like it is now.
Oh, right.
So, now everybody and anybody can be a model. Like, it doesn't matter, you can just put yourself out there. At that time, you had castings, you had agencies, you had different things you had to go through. Right. So there's still a lot of traction. There's still a lot that kind of took for me to get here.
Right. But that's real work, because a lot of people right now, they might have something go quote unquote viral, and they'll like approach me or approach us and be like, look at the views we have. Like, what are you going to pay? What are you going to pay us to rep your business? And, what I say to them is, puppies have millions of views, like puppies do too. So, and what that means is, like, just because you have the views and have that doesn't mean that you're making an impact, number one. And number two, I don't think it always means that you're connecting in a way that's for like a, longevity purposes. Like, yeah, you might have done something funny, super hot at the moment, some viral video. But sometimes I think that, people get ahead of themselves,
So true.
A little bit. Now let's talk about health. I've always dealt with being the chubby kid. And so I think that's one of my kind of, for my whole life, dealing with trying to lose weight or eat well, like, and a word that pops up, which is a word we all hear, is discipline. I think discipline is main ingredient right now in it. Like, how do you find the discipline, bro? And did it just kind of start since it was like initiated early with sports and all that stuff? And if for someone who's like maybe right now trying to find that discipline, what can you say, or like what's your David Goggins sort of mentality?
Well, I love that you use that, and that's really what I would liken it to, because David Goggins, and I think what gives him a lot of the draw to people is the simplicity. He's not complicated. Right. He is what you see. Right. But it is, man, it's I wouldn't call it as discipline as much as just I'm very routine oriented, and then once I can find a routine, I can dive into it. That's where the success in my training comes in, personal training, because you're incredibly successful as a DJ. I've watched you thrive. You can do exactly what I do. Like, it's no different than DJing. There's a recipe, there's a formula, there's a blueprint. Right. And once you know that, it makes you a little bit better. That's no different than fitness. If you had my routine, you'd be me. You have all the discipline. You have everything else.
I need the routine, bro. I want to take my shirt off next to you,
You'll kill me
Pause.
if I give you the right pause. Once I give you that, but a lot of it, man, like so my family and our culture, black culture, by the year 2025, 90% of blacks will be type 2 diabetic. A lot of it has to do with living conditions and things that we are not aware of. And I was headed down that same road. Like the majority of my clients are pre-diabetic. The majority of black men are pre-diabetic without knowing. Right. So what do you do?
Yeah. So tell us what we do, because my family, I'm pretty sure I'm in that arena. I'll find out soon. Yeah. But I need some. I hate to say I need motivation, because people are like, well, if you need motivation, then you're not. But this is why we're here, for grace. So someone out there that's struggling with it, like, how can we get them to start feeling better? And because I believe it's about feeling better, that'll get you that motivation, So like, what's the magic, man? You have the magic, and looking at your Instagram and all that shit, I'm like, damn, bro,
this
like,
guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful, and even at your age, I definitely was like bigger back in the day, but like, you're 43, we're the same age, like, we need some magic, man. Tell us.
Everything, all the groundwork you lay down right now is going to be not only for you, but it's beneficial for your family. Like right now, I think the things that both of our cultures are not understanding of, it's a generational thing that we're trying to break through. It's not only you that you're trying to take care of. Right. It's your family, and again, it's very simple steps. It's unlearning what we think that we do about nutrition and health. It's really making sure that we are intentional about how we eat and how we plan. It's really not that hard, man. It's funny what I tell people, using like a David Goggins, you got to pick your heart, right? So yeah, it's hard to be disciplined. It's hard. And I don't use motivated, because I'm fairly ever motivated. I'm never motivated. Right. I'm very disciplined. I'm not motivated to get up, eat chicken, eat tilapia. Nobody's motivated to do that. It's not fun. Right. But what the reward is and the trade-off is, I always feel amazing. The feedback, right? And that's what I would say to you, that the hard thing is when you don't feel good about yourself, that's hard. Every day. Right. Struggling to find wind, to find endurance, to do different things that you want to do. Feeling like a prisoner in your own body, that's a hard. Right. You want my heart, or do you want that heart? Right. I'll show you the blueprint. I'll show you how easy it is to do everything that I do. Eating is very, very simple. You just have to know what to eat. And I think as Americans, we're not into that. We don't know.
Well, I think there's like a subconscious thing that, so I don't want to call it a breakthrough, because I still go to McDonald's. Yeah. But one time I was at the airport and I was hungry, and I saw a McDonald's and I automatically knew what I want. And then I had this moment right after that where I was like, I didn't even think. You get it? Like, I wasn't even conscious there. It literally was like, I saw McDonald's, I know what I want. And then I realized I didn't ask myself what would I benefit from. I didn't take the time and say, well, what would be healthy? What do I need? And I ended up like going get some fruit or whatever, because I had that pause. And I think a lot of us are dealing with that subconscious sort of, we're not actually conscious and we're not actually thinking. And I think that plays a lot to do with it, because, eating habits, it's tough, man. I probably my biggest, and I'll just say that to be transparent, like, I be doing Uber Eats and shit all the time, man. Yeah. It's so easy, so convenient. Like, how do I break out of that? How do we break out of that?
You got to be mindful and just cognizant of what you have from Uber Eats. Uber, there's not a single place that I can't find somebody that you can eat something at. The other thing that's probably the biggest thing that I try to instruct everyone, top thing that you can do.
Here it is, top
portion
thing.
Control.
Okay.
As Americans, we're so poor on portion control, right? So once you start getting a handle on that, what I would tell everybody, and I told him that, is get a food calculator. Right now, you can get for free. You can get what's called MyFitPal, and that's a macro.
That's work, though. I've tried that before, but it feels like work, bro. Like, every time I gotta eat.
Okay, did you just hear what you said?
Yeah.
Right. Feels like work. Like, what are we doing right now?
Right.
What do you do every day you wake up?
It's a reward, right?
Right. So if you macro track and you're able to see how much you eat at the end of the day, you're like, wow, I didn't realize I was putting all that in. No different than, when you're banking, you have finances, you have a running ledger. Right. You look at the end of the day, like, damn, I spent way more than I imagined. Right. It's the same thing with calorie input versus output. You have to have more output than you have input. Right. Americans is a tendency. We put more in than we do. We just don't we don't have any activity. We're lazy. We're sedentary. Right. So that's the biggest challenge. Macro count. Make sure you know what you're going into. Like I tell him, because him and I are very diligent, what did you eat today? Right? And he knows everything that he ate. All my clients know everything they ate. It's not unintentional. Like spending, if you have a financial coach. He doesn't let you spend. He doesn't let you go wild with your money.
Right.
You know, you're very intentional about it.
Right.
So.
Man, I feel so irresponsible right now. How I spend, how I eat. Let's jump to cannabis real quick because I think that's pretty interesting. You saw Jardín?
Yes, sir.
And what did you think about it? It's your first time here, right?
Yeah, no, and big shout out to Jardín. You guys, this is literally one of the most beautiful dispensaries that I've ever been to. From the staff to the knowledge that the staff is providing to the selection.
Right.
You know, I'm no cap, as the kids say. I'm very, very critical about this cannabis game. And, you know, there's been a lot of scrutiny I put. You guys passed the test. This place is bomb. I love this place.
I love that. So let's talk about cannabis. And I love that you were talking about how it kind of helped you get out of the white pills and the drinking. For someone that is going through that right now with the pills and with the drinking, what's the... You know, give them the dangling carrot of cannabis and how that fits in all of that. And, you know, and I know it's different for everybody, but, you know, specifically for you, like, was it someone introduced you to it? Was it like, hey, I have to find something that is an alternative to this? Or were you already smoking weed and just quit the other stuff?
Funny enough, man, you're going to laugh. Shout out to my little brother. My little brother, you know, was that guy smoking. And my dad had seen me have a lot of challenge with my stepdad. And he mentioned it to me. He's like, why don't you try? Why don't you smoke? I'm like, nah, I can't do that because it's going to affect my running. I won't be able to run. And then, you know, I'll be lazy all the time. I won't want to train. You know, all the normal stigma that you get from it, you know. But at that time, man, I was popping probably like 12 Xanax a day, you know, drinking about a fifth of vodka, you know, before I went to sleep, having a couple bottles of wine when I woke up, you know what I mean? So it wasn't sustainable. Like I at every point, you know, I was grabbing my chest when after workout. So I'm like, either I'm going to die or I got to figure a way out, you know? And the majority of my clients, athletes, whatever, they're there too.
Right.
So I'm
so were you late to the game with cannabis? Like you didn't smoke?
38.
Were you like the sports guy that was like, fuck you, smokers?
Yo, I was so bad. And now you know what I feel bad about? I was that guy who was like, man, you guys are smoking the devil's lettuce. And like, I was like, you guys are idiots, every one of them. And so now all those guys, all my boys are like, bro, what are you doing? Like, we see you over there, Chief. Like, it's bad because that's how I was. I was that guy. I just didn't know. And now, had I had that experience now with all the guys that I know, the athletes, the connoisseurs, man, I would have been that guy.
I love that. So how are you using cannabis now? Pretty strategically with the diet and all that? Or is this like, it's kind of, I don't want to say a vice, but it's just like what you do?
No, everything that I do is super intentional. Like I have a method of how I medicate, you know?
Okay. Indica, sativa, bongs, blunts, papers, how do you consume?
So primarily flowers. I don't know how to roll. I'm old school, but it just depends on what strain type I ingest before routine. So like if I have a heavy training day, it's going to be a high, heavy hitting sativa, you know?
So you smoke before you work out?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people that do. I'm just kind of curious how it fits.
Oh, yeah. And the majority of the very heavy lifters, I think that's going to be the thing once you peel back, once the tape or the robe is peeled back.
Right.
You're going to find out that the majority of very, very heavy lifters ingest. They just love consuming.
Right. Yeah. A lot of you know, jiu-jitsu people and MMA
guys,
yeah, they use that. You know, shout out to High Rollers. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yes.
The jiu-jitsu tournament with the weed, which is pretty dope because when my boy Lonnie kind of came up with the concept, he was like, "Yo, a lot of those guys don't want to take white pills for their recovery." And what a great concept. And even like, you know, we were talking about. Well, I just want to bring Wiz up, and kind of like just breaking the mold of like it being stony, lazy. Like Wiz is fucking jacked.
Bro,
you know what I mean?
It's again another reason why this is so beneficial for me to talk to you.
Right.
All that connection, the synergy is there, right? And you're right. It is. What I like about what he does is he normalizes how important it is to train with cannabis. He normalizes the other aspects, like, hey, you'll hear him talk about smoking and creation. Right. You know, like a lot of times. The rappers that we're used to, it was all about sedation. I'm gonna smoke and just nah, man. It's what about the creating?
Yeah, creating.
Yeah,
I love that. So I saw that you I saw on your Instagram you used the term star seed.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of people don't actually have ever heard that word before, which I have. Because there's you know, I believe that I'm kind of in that same realm. Can you explain that to people? Because I think, you know,
man, you're so dope, B. I do, man. I don't feel as though I'm from here. A starseed is they believe, I don't know if I go into polymaths or, people who aren't from here, many lives.
Right.
But a starseed is a very deep, not an earthbound thinker.
Yeah.
Is that about the?
Yeah, I mean, it's I think right now it's a collective conscious of people that are living 5D. I don't know.
Yeah,
We're going deep. I don't want to go too deep in that, but I like that. So we'll explore that again. And a lot, I think, as I'm exploring and growing this podcast, a lot of the podcast is you're going to come back and we're going to talk again.
Yes, sir.
Because I believe that, like, if we're just going to limit ourselves to a conversation, and I like to just see the growth, because like in 3 months from now, something might change.
No, you got me. What you said, and you're done. I have to tap in with everybody. You said, hey, I'm gonna try to be like you. So literally, I got your DMs. I have your phone number. I'm gonna tap in with you every week. We're gonna do check-ins.
Yeah, please.
So,
and honestly, I'd love to kind of see how I can, look good in a tank top too. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not capping. I'm dead serious, bro. I would love to help you, B. Like, I would absolutely love to help you. The people that you connect to, come on, stop. They're gonna ask. They're like, hey, how did you get like that? Oh, my man Charles. It's that synergy, right? It's like, so.
No, I love that. So are you tied into like cannabis industry now in Arizona? Like, are you taking a role in that? Tell me about that.
I am. I'm recruiting in the cannabis space, but still actively influencing a lot. Like, I'm supposed to be doing some content for a few brands. I won't really disclose right now, but why I want to show a different paradigm. I want people to see a different look for what they believe a connoisseur is. Right? It should look like this. It should look like you and I. It looks like everything else, opposed to what people always stigmatize it as.
Right. I love that. Let me jump back to real quick before we break. Like doing celebrity trainings. What's that like?
Yo, it's cool, man. Like,
they rich, man. So
they are, but there's a lot of demand. Like, what I mean by that, there's a lot of demand from you because they didn't get to where they are at for no reason, right? So the demand is crazy. You know what it's like. They're different type. Stars are different caliber.
Can I ask you? Have you ever like? Because I'm like, yo, if I watch this video of this one dude out here who he's training. It was Greg, right? Shout out to Greg. Greg's pretty. What's his name? Greg. He's one of our influencers, but
that name sounds familiar.
Greg, he's a trainer as well, but he posts a lot of videos, and he'll post videos of him like stretching, like women. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like it's funny. You could say that in a different way, right? But like in the gym with them, and it's like looks kind of compromising a little bit, like flexing the legs up. Like how. Does that ever like lead to a path, or is that pretty like? I mean, I don't train people, so you get some like little hot thing and yoga pants, and you're like stretching them out, or whatever. Like, does it ever go? Like, are these like little yoga moms? Are they ever like inviting or like?
It could, man. It could, but like
I gotta ask this question because
I know,
I'll be thinking of.
All my guys will. They're like, yo, you see that, and you have different clients. But I'm really big about not, quote unquote, shitting where I sleep.
Yeah.
And the crossover is horrible. Like the working out and the training is always my outlet. And truth be told, as a trainer, you're not just a trainer, you're almost like a therapist.
Right.
Because people, it's not just they're working out. Like, why they're not working out and why they're coming to is not just because they want to get fit. Like, it's everything.
Right.
So, again, if you allow that door to be open, you allow a lot of other things. So.
Yeah. Someone told me recently, like, as a hairdresser, they're, look, they cut hair, but she was telling me about how exhausting it is because you're like talking to this person about their lives. And so imagine you have like 3 or 4 clients that day and people are just like laying into you about their problems and all that. That's also exhausting,
100%. And so think about this. Like, you don't feel good, right? You got to go to the gym. What's the first thing you do? You start venting off. Oh, man, my lady's doing this. Right. Some of the sessions I don't even get into because it's like therapy. You know what I mean?
Right. That's got to be exhausting. God bless you for that.
You know what, though? It's one of those things that comes with the territory, and I absolutely love being around people, like helping them make a change, So what's not cool is like when they've been with me for a little while, we can't overcome that, and they're not making any changes. Then like you have to have those hard, stark come to Jesus, like, hey, look, man, I really enjoy this relationship, but it's not beneficial to one of us.
Right. We got to get
to
the work.
So like, you can keep paying me, but you're not changing, and people are going to start asking you, aren't you changing with homie?
Right.
You look the same.
Right. Well, that's good, man. You really probably got to like jog people in their head and be like, look, there's a focus here. Because I feel like that, people find their excuse not to be there. Or
Well, and the other thing too, you know how it is, like, people see. I'm not saying that people want to train with, like, they always have good intentions. Like, there's some women that take their shot. Like, I'm like, I'll pull up to a first session and they're like, yeah, so what's up? I'm like, we're training. That's what's up. Like, you know what I mean? Type. So
I've seen a video start like that on the internet before.
Bro, for real. For real. It's real. It's real. Not everybody's intentions are noble,
No, I love that. So let's talk about 2024. Talk about what's happening, what's on the scope for you. How are you feeling about the world, and what's going on?
I'm feeling good about the world. I think that the conversations have been great. I think that's the thing that I like. I think that we're starting to have really tough conversations. Where I like that we're positioned is we're on the best side of it, right? Where people start to dissolve the egos and the issues that started the conversations.
Right.
Where I hope 2024 goes is I'm excited about a legalization of psychedelics and mushrooms, psilocybin to be exact, micro and macro dose. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But that is where everything I think really starts to change. The paradigm shift happens.
It's happening. I mean, I think that plant medicine and just the deprogramming and the fall of this whole, I don't even know, blanket that is around us. So thanks for being inspiring. We're going to bring you back again, of course. And, from here, man, I'm going to be watching what you're doing. And congratulations on all your success. And I'm trying to,
Bro, I got you.
know what I mean?
I got you.
I need a diet or something, man. You know what I mean?
That. I'll give you a meal plan.
How can people find you, or, what do you got coming up for people to check out?
So find me you got me at Charles J. Flanagan on IG, Charles Flanagan on Facebook. I don't have a TikTok. I don't have Twitter either, but IG is the best way to find me. And yeah, man, I'm taking a few clients. So if you think that you're one of them, DM me. I might take you.
Right. Well, congratulations. Thank you for stopping by. And
Appreciate it.
Thank you for your, I like to try to find the right words. Thanks for being consistent about just trying to reach out and being here, because I think this is a continued conversation that we're going to have. I definitely want to have the mushroom conversation and other drugs.
Yes, sir. Hey, I appreciate you having me as always, bro.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Charles Flanagan, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you check him out. Thank you for stopping by, Jardín, and we'll see you soon.
Appreciate you.
Jardín, Las Vegas.